Using as a perch here, and we're going to go through a couple of the organs. I know, unfortunately, it's not the easiest dissection, and of course, it's not the clearest as far as focusing goes, but we can only do so much with the technology given to us, right? Okay, you guys went through and already did all of the dissection, or the lengths of the organism itself, so I'm going to point out a couple things. Some of them aren't on your list and required, but just so that you know, you do know these. You've got the spines, and in between the spines, you have the soft rays. Okay. These muscles at the top are known as epaxil. The ones down on the bottom are actually known as hypaxil. You can see the lines on here, and the lines, the thick lines are going to be the myotomes, and the thin lines will be the myoceptums. All right, as we come down, you can see I've already opened up the fish for you here. I'm going to hold it close. What you're going to notice is this soft area right here. These are the gill filaments, and if you go internally, this little arch right here, and if you listen closely, you can hear it actually makes little clicks, and that's because those are the these are the gill rakers as opposed to the soft filaments behind them. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at some of the major structures in here. This particular organism is a male. We know that because, one, it lacks the eggs that some of you have had.
Some.
What you can see is this hole here, all right? And this hole contains the swim bladder or gas bladder, which controls the buoyancy of the organism itself. If I flip it this direction, you can actually see the bladder. As I push up and down on it, the air would actually fill that area, and if I insert my probe, you can see the probe moving it from the inside out. Okay? Well, the juice filled this area up once the fish was dead because they injected these, all right? So this is why they're filled up.
Yeah, because she cut it open and spilled
okay.
that hole.
So now we're going to look at a couple different things. Down here, you notice this is the most anterior end of the fish, and if I follow it back, I've removed this bone known as the operculum bone. And if we look just ventral to the operculum bone and behind the filaments, we're going to see this dark-like structure, and this dark structure is going to be the heart. The heart's going to have the ventral aorta, and then we're going to see the dorsal aorta towards the back here on the opposite side of the swim bladder, and hopefully we'll be able to show you that in just a moment. There's a transverse septa that actually divides the heart area, the cardiac area, from the remaining part of the body. If we're looking here, this structure, this large structure, is going to be your liver. Okay, that's the liver. I went ahead and cut some of the liver off to expose some other areas, and what you see in this particular area are these little protrusions out. These are part of a digestive cecum, okay? A little structure. We're going to cut some more of the liver out, though. You can see as I cut some of the liver out, there's this darker region, and that would tell us that this would be where the gallbladder is going to be located, or that is the remaining part of the gallbladder in this particular organism. Remember that the gallbladder stores the bile that is produced in the kidney, so those organs need to be adjacent to each other in order for them to function correctly. No questions right now. Sorry, Don. Okay, these digestive cecum aid in, of course, digestion. All right, and what you're looking at, this darker region right here, actually leads into this fabulous big stomach that this organism has, which then in turn, if I can get it, in turn leads into the intestinal tract of this organism. So you can see that this bulb area kind of starts to lay down these tubes. These tubes are intertwined all in this particular area. So you can see one here and a few more back in this area. And just like intestines do, they rotate back and forth until they eventually come down and they exit out the anus, which is adjacent to the anal fins, which makes sense. Now, if I wanted to know what kind of organism or what gender this organism is, I would look at this particular structure right here, and this particular structure are the gonads inside. It lacks eggs, therefore this organism is a male because these are its testes. And you can see where the it is actually attached to the organism, as well as the part of the reproductive structure that continues on to supply the body with stuff. Okay. If we look dorsally to the testes or the ovaries, depending upon which one you have, you're going to see this tiny little structure right up here. You guys can see that little tiny structure? That is actually the urinary bladder for these organisms. The urinary bladder is there. Okay. As I pull back the stomach here, you can see this darker region, and this darker region runs down. It kind of looks like it divides up. But this dark region right here is going to be the spleen. And then you have these orangish colored structures. That's all fat. That's just fat inside of the organism itself. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to now pop the swim bladder, since we all have seen the other portions of it.
Oh no.
Oh, yes.
As we pop the swim bladder, we're going to remove some of those excess juices.
Ah. Don't get on my
All
spot, huh?
Looking down here, you can see inside of the swim bladder, it's all super dark in this region. All right, this makes up our kidney structure. And then, if you can, no, you can't, so hold on. Let's make this visible for you.
Oh man.
All right, that's a little bit better. Along this area, you're also going to find your dorsal aorta. Yours are dyed, so you should be able to see the pink line that runs down that supplies blood to the rest of the body. All right, that's what you need to know. Any questions about that?